Hello and welcome to Book Brag. I am Lynn Constantine, one half of the Liv Constantine writing team, and I'm here with my co-host Wendy Walker. And today we are thrilled to welcome Debbie Babitt. And Debbie was the copy director for two major Manhattan publishing companies. She is the author of Adventures in Copywriting that appeared in Making the Perfect Pitch: How to Catch a Literary Agent's Eye. Previous creative incarnations included actress, playwright, and drama critic. Saving Grace is Debbie's debut novel and has been named one of the most anticipated thrillers of 2021 by She Reads, and it is out today.
All right. Well, we are so excited to have you here. Can you tell us a little bit about Saving Grace in a few sentences so readers know what to expect?
Absolutely. I was coming up on the anniversary of my parents' death when the girls started disappearing. That's actually the opening sentence of the book. And
Wow.
Saving Grace takes place over two time periods in a Bible Belt town in the South. Mary Grace is 11 and in her last year of elementary school when two classmates go missing. 24 years later, Mary Grace is a single mother and the first female sheriff of her town when another sixth grade girl vanishes.
So, we always learn something when we're writing a book. What was something that you learned while you were either researching or writing Saving Grace?
Well, it takes place in the South, where I've never been, in a town called Repentance in Northwest Arkansas. So I learned a lot about Northwest Arkansas. I also learned a lot about softball because Mary Grace is a great softball player. I learned about the Baptist religion, specifically the Southern Baptists of the South. I also learned a lot about good and evil. And also what's interesting is when I was writing, I found that my previous careers helped a lot because acting teaches me about character, and I always start with the voice. So characters start talking to me, and that's why it doesn't matter where they live or where they're from. And in this case, it was an 11-year-old orphan living in a very faith-driven, superstitious town with her uncle and aunt and cousin who kills small animals.
Oh,
She's not happy in Cambridge. She's also bullied at school.
Yikes.
And what happened while I was writing was her voice was very strong. But then another voice started fighting to be heard, and that was the adult Mary Grace. So I realized that the two time periods had to be simultaneous. I had to travel back and forth between the two. And that's how I came up with 1995 with 11-year-old Mary Grace, which are the then chapters. And the now chapters are 2019 when Mary Grace is an adult. So I always start with voice and it never fails me.
That's wonderful.
um,
All right. Okay, so the reason we call it Book Brag is we like to give every author an opportunity to brag a little bit about their book. So you can take this time to now either read us one of your favorite reader reviews or trade reviews, whatever one you feel best kind of encapsulates the book.
I love that you guys are doing this because we never want to look like we're bragging in this such a great forum. So I want to say, first of all, I'm so happy that I've gotten such great reviews from New York Times authors, reviewers, bloggers, and so many of them have talked about the jaw-dropping ending, how they never saw it coming, how they never guessed the killer. And that's so gratifying, as you both know, writing a thriller. And you don't think about it as you're writing because your character's going along doing everything, and it was so gratifying. However, there were some reviewers who raised issues and themes in the book. So I wanted to share a review by Amanda McHugh because I felt this helps the book resonate on an even deeper level. So
Sure.
Here's Mandy's review. I loved this book. I finished it in one sitting. My favorite parts of this book were the coming of age flashbacks. We see Mary Grace navigating through the toughest parts of adolescence, body changes, the end of childhood imagination, and the intricacies that come with the friendships between young girls. Along with its entertaining and gripping plot, there's insightful commentary on social issues, among them bullying, suicide, mental health, racism, sexuality, classism, and all the discriminations that arise when the way it's always been meets transition head on.
Mm.
Given our current climate, this read feels timely and oh so important. At its heart, Saving Grace is a story about identity, damnation, redemption, and the lengths we go to in order to find ourselves. Are people both good and evil? Can a person be forgiven and still remain damned? A fast-paced psychological suspense with layered twists that will keep you on your toes until the very last line. Saving Grace is a 2021 must-read. I'd recommend this title to anyone looking for a strong female protagonist, fans of Stephen King's Carrie or Dolores Claiborne, or anyone who loves a good coming-of-age mystery.
Wow, wonderful.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I just thought that was just so interesting because you don't think about themes and issues when you're writing.
Yeah.
Right.
You're telling your story, and she's bullied, but I'm not saying, well, now I'm going to write about bullying. So I found that very gratifying.
That's wonderful. That's a
That was really great.
fantastic review. Okay, so let's go into an imaginary world where you get to be a character in your book. Which one would it be and why?
Oh boy, this is a tough one because I'm so invested in Mary Grace as a kid and adult. I really tried to think about it, and I have a lot of characters in the town. So I would say that there were two characters who I really felt strongly for. Maurice is a longtime recluse who lives in the woods, and the kids call him the boogeyman of repentance. And he never speaks, and I have very deep feelings for him.
Aw.
Then there's Daryl Stokes, the black drifter from Alabama, who is a suspect in the initial disappearances, and he returns to repentance 24 years later, and he's a suspect again. So he's another character who, how does it feel when you're accused of something, when you're dealing with hate and prejudice? So if I were anyone other than Mary Grace, I might pick Maurice or Daryl.
Like such a great book.
Thank
All right,
you.
now we get a little personal, just to let readers get to know you, the person behind the author. And we'll start with a lightning round, which has a little bit of writing questions and a little bit of personal questions. So the first one is pantser or plotter?
I'd say I'm a pantser when it starts because the character talks to me. And then as the story takes shape and I have to plot, I become a plotter. So maybe a plantster?
Yep, that's what I call ourselves, planters. Yes.
Right?
Yep.
A lot of writers probably call themselves
Yeah. Okay, so introvert or extrovert?
extrovert.
Oh,
Cat or dog?
Dog. But I have to say Maya is a Belanca, and she has many feline traits.
I have a retriever that's like that, who will curl up on a bench and he looks like a cat. He'll perch up on top of
Yes,
so
and goes on a
it's
hunting.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She has a lot of cat-like quality, and they love to have their bellies rubbed in that certain way cats do.
Yeah.
What's your favorite place to write?
Well, I start by talking into this recorder. So I like to write while I'm walking. And when I'm in Florida, where I am now, I walk on the beach. And when I'm in New York City, I walk along the streets. Then when I have to input the recorder and start transcribing into the computer, I like to sit at the kitchen table, either overlooking the ocean or looking out at the city lights.
Wow.
love
Do
that.
you have a favorite word?
Murder.
That was Peter's show.
What? Really?
Wait, Peter Swanson said the same thing.
Yep.
Oh, I love him. Oh my God. I love his book.
Okay, so what are you currently binge watching?
I just finished Your Honor. Have you seen it?
Oh, no, I haven't.
All right, then I won't discuss it. It's Bryan Cranston.
Oh.
It's on.
Okay, book you read in one night.
I never have done that. I've come close,
No.
but I've never finished a book in one
Wow.
night.
So maybe this is the question. What book do you wish you'd written yourself?
Well, I loved Gone with the Wind. I loved Murder on the Orient Express. However, I don't know. Do you remember Laura by Vera Caspary? Many years ago, it was a movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the movie, right? Mhm.
Okay, with Gene Tierney and Dana Andrews. Halfway through the book, there's a shocking twist. And there's been a current book that imitates that in a way. I won't give it away, but it turns everything on its head. Everything you thought you believed is changed, and it stayed with me a long time. And I thought, if I could write that. The other one is Rebecca, because in Rebecca it's similar. Something Max de Winter says halfway through to the unnamed heroine that turns everything you thought on its head. So I love reversals and plot twists. And the other book I have to say is Behind Closed Doors because of the last sentence of that book.
All right. So if you had, now you've done a lot of other things, obviously, but at this point, again, if you had to be something other than a writer, what would that be?
So I can't say a Broadway lyricist and composer because that's writing. So I would say performing in all the old musicals
Oh,
because I
okay.
love the
That's a
old
big
musicals.
What fictional character would you love to have dinner with?
So I thought of Scarlett O'Hara because I named myself after her in high school, S.D. Babitt. And I thought of Sherlock Holmes to pick his prodigious brain. But I recently wrote an article for Crime Reads on coming of age thrillers. So I have to say Scout Finch of To Kill a Mockingbird. Because like Mary Grace, she's looking back. Like Mary Grace, they both are obsessed with good and evil. And unlike Mary Grace, we never really see Scout as an adult. Meaning she's looking back, but we never, did she get married? Did she have a family? Did she ever see Boo Radley again? What was her relationship like with her family? Did she stay in Alabama? What would she think of Mary Grace? So, and the other really big thing is that she was a kid in 1930s Alabama. So 30 years later, we had civil rights. So I think we'd have a really lively discussion about that.
So thank you so much for being with us today. Saving Grace is out now. You can get it wherever books are sold, and everyone should just go and order it or go to a bookstore and buy it. Where can readers connect with you online, either social media or a website?
Well, they go to my website, debbiebabitt.com, and I'm on all the usual suspects: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Goodreads.
Great. That's great. Well, thank you so much.
Happy Boat Day.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun, and I love that you guys are doing this. Really, it's a wonderful thing for writers. Great, thanks.
Well, good luck to you, and I can't wait to hear all the praise that's going to be coming your way from Saving Grace.
Thank you so much. Take care, guys.
Bye.